Hello everyone, today I want to share some insight on the article Eating Christmas in the Kalahari by Richard Borshay Lee. I want to reflect on how worldview shapes the way that we interpret cultural meanings. So let me read to you what I gathered from this great article. Lee, an anthropologist, decided to gift a large ox to the Kungsan people for their Christmas feast. Expecting gratitude, he was surprised when they mocked the ox, calling it thin and worthless. At first, he saw this as rude and ungrateful, but later he learned that the Kung have a tradition of insulting the meat to prevent arrogance and maintain social harmony. Their teasing wasn't about the ox, it was about upholding their cultural values. The story shows how worldview acts as a lens through which we interpret behavior. Lee's Western perspective led him to expect praise for his generosity, while the Kung's worldview prioritized humility and equality. His assumptions caused a cultural misunderstanding. One clear ethnocentric idea or bias in the article was that Lee's belief that this gift would be universally appreciated. He assumed his cultural norms were normal or best, but the Kung's reaction challenged that notion, reminding us that cultural values are not universal, they're shaped by context and tradition. Now, I personally don't have any experiences that relate to this story. However, an example could be that in my culture, it is polite to carry on conversation and ask questions to one another, whereas in Japanese culture, being silent is a sign of respect and being polite. In this case, similar to the story, the misunderstanding stemmed from interpreting behavior through one's cultural lens. This shows the importance of recognizing that behaviors carry different meanings across cultures. A great example of a unique tradition that I and many Americans share is Thanksgiving, a holiday that is centered around gratitude, family gatherings, and a massive feast. My view of Thanksgiving is that it is a cherished time to reflect on blessings, reconnect with loved ones, and celebrate national heritage. Someone from a non-Western culture might find the emphasis on individual family units and private home gatherings unusual, especially if their own holidays are more community-oriented or religiously grounded. So what's the best way to communicate across cultures? Practice cultural humility. That means asking questions instead of making assumptions, listening actively, and being open to learning. In this article, Lee eventually realized that his assumptions had blinded him to the deeper meaning behind the Kung's behavior. Cultural humility could have helped him understand sooner. The most important lesson that I took from this article is that worldview shapes perception, and if we're not aware of it, we risk misinterpreting others. Effective intercultural communication requires us to question our assumptions and embrace the idea that our normal might not be universal. When we do that, we open the door to empathy, understanding, and genuine connection. Thank you for listening.